Okay, so this one's back. I get the feeling what it was, and I get the feeling I know what it was, because I was watching YouTube and all, that, I wish, freaking check them all, mark as read, I don't care. Thank you. I got Streamlock. Well, it's working now, so I don't know what the flip happened there. But I'll put it this way, I guess I can't do stuff like this anymore, which is bullcrap. So, it honestly pisses me off a little bit, because, you know, you can't do freaking... But the thing is, I can listen to music and they have no problem with. I've never been shut down due to listening to music. But when I do stuff like this, apparently I'm not allowed to? What kind of BS is that? So, I will change the name of this later, but we are going to react to some stuff.
It's the early hours of June 6th, 1944.
I want to show this story because it's a very interesting story.
Into a muddy field just outside of a small village in Normandy. He can hear cracks of gunfire and quickly gets out of his parachute.
And unless you guys want to watch me watch some more stuff like this, which I might do some reaction stuff of me reacting to these videos and stuff, I can do, like, oh my god, Yarnhub has so much stuff that it's not even funny. It honestly pisses me off a little bit that they banned me from being able to... Also, ignore that. I love werewolves. It's perfectly fine. Also, just, hold on, just a funny thingy. Ignore this, alright? Ignore that. I'm a little weird, but it's perfectly fine. Everybody has their weird quirks, right? Yarnhub is by far my favorite, though. 1.3 million subscribers with 584 videos. It's actually insane. They have a Patreon, a Discord. Shout out to Yarnhub, actually. They are such a good... I love their stuff. It's such freaking good stuff. But anyway.
Rushes towards the village.
The fact that that church is still standing
with a big red
insane.
cross on it and rushes in. Inside is Robert Wright, another medic. The two men greet each other and quickly get to work.
There's a reason I'm watching this, and I'm going to say it
of an
after
episode
later
that would
in a little
go down
bit.
in history.
I'm Kenneth Moore. Right, Robert Wright.
The silence of the church is broken as the door bursts open and injured soldiers start to arrive. Without supply crates, they just have their medic bags and pocket first aid kits. Outside, the war intensifies. The Germans have pushed into the village and the fight has become a brutal house-to-house
Look at bro
war.
with his cape.
Inside the church, Ken can hear the cries of the injured. He just can't sit by and do nothing. Protected by just his red cross on his helmet and his armband.
Yeah, fun fact. The Germans and the Americans both had, the Japanese of course didn't go, and I'll talk about that here in a second. The Germans and the Americans kind of had an agreement that medics would not be shot. That is literally the rule in warfare, is if you see a medic and you're a sniper or something, you are literally not allowed to shoot that person. You cannot shoot that person. It is like an unspoken rule. And the Japanese, if you've ever watched Hacksaw Ridge, there's actually a scene where he's joining in the battle and everything, and a guy walks up to him, asks him if he's a medic. He goes, yeah. And the guy takes his helmet and he gives him another one without a red cross on it. He goes, you need to wear this. The Japanese will shoot anybody that wears a red cross on their helmet. The Japanese literally killed medics to keep the soldiers from being saved. The fact that is the one reason that I don't really respect the Japanese as much as I do the Germans, because of the fact that the Japanese were ruthless in every way, and yet they talk about honor. How do you have honor when you shoot a medic who's trying to help somebody? And as a matter of fact, the story goes that Doss actually saved a few Japanese soldiers, but they quote unquote didn't survive. So yeah, it pisses me
into the
off.
fray. We need your help to keep the channel producing at this quality. So if you enjoy our films, please help by becoming a member, where you'll get VIP access to exclusive perks and me on the Discord. But if this summer you want to impress the kittens and stand out from the crowd, you need a stylish polo shirt.
If I'm being
Everyone
honest,
has horses
I'd
and
love-
crocodiles, but if you want to be a real cool cat, then grab the brand new shirt that's sure to impress. Yes, it's Le Cat. All our high-quality Le Cat shirts feature Yarnold, our fabulous feline. Wear it on every occasion. In the club, Le Cat. On the yacht, Le Cat. Playing polo, Le Cat. Or just wear it about town. It's like catnip for the kittens. Le Cat by Yarnold. Get ready for summer now by clicking the link in the description.
Oh, of course, we get a World of Warship. Wait, is that World of Warships? Yeah.
On June 6, 1944, the most significant
Ah,
amphibious
shut up!
Back in
Anyway.
France, Kenneth Moore sees an injured man
Of course
in the
they don't,
distance.
just like the Germans.
Thinking
Actually,
quick-
I actually asked a real-life German that lives in Germany if Germany still teaches what they did in World War II. He told me they did. So the fact that people have said that they don't teach it in Germany, they're lying to you. They do still teach it in Germany, but they don't teach it in Japan, which is actually insane considering Japan actually did worse than
He
the Germans
grabs the
did.
church's old wooden wheelbarrow before running
going
across
for
the
it.
open road. Several houses away, a German soldier spots Ken's figure. Lining up his rifle, he takes aim. He has him in his sights, finger on the trigger, ready to fire. But he sees the red cross and relaxes his finger on the trigger.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. Respect.
Ken makes it to the other side unscathed and finds soldiers from the 101st Airborne giving provisionary aid to
Brother's
the wounded
running
man.
for his life right
Together
now.
they pull the man to the wheelbarrow and Ken runs back to the church. He crosses the open road, ducking and running through the storm of lead and into safety. Territory is won and lost across the hours, and the two medics keep bravely venturing out for more, risking their lives to save more injured American soldiers. With evening approaching, Ken rushes through the door carrying a wounded man. But this time, the church falls into a shocked silence. Everyone stares at Ken and his patient, for he isn't American. It's a German. Ken
He's
brings
still
the
in
German
need.
to a pew and administers aid, completely ignoring the intense gaze of the other men. Robert silently approaches and without hesitation helps to tend to the German. One by one, the stares turn away, nobody daring to object. When asked
Yeah.
why he helped the Germans, Ken later said, "They were young men, just like us. They were just wearing different uniforms."
Exactly.
After that, more Germans were brought in for treatment.
That is the exact way that I look at it. They're just young men just wearing a different uniform. Now the Wehrmacht is the way that I see that, right? The SS, no, kill them fuckers, I don't care.
Inside the church, the work continues until the door slams open.
Bro
Standing
charged.
there, silhouetted by the evening light, is a German soldier. His gun is drawn, ready to fire. Nobody moves. The German soldier locks eyes with the medics and notices the small group of Germans in the corner. Slowly, he lowers his gun, performs a sign of the cross, and leaves.
Bro about to kill people
Robert
in a church and
exhales
then
with
does
relief.
that.
Now, seeing the danger, he grabs the rifles and imposes a strict no weapons rule, forcing everyone, regardless of side or rank, to leave their guns at the doorway. With the day
I think
turning
it's
to dawn, it's becoming clear that the 101st needs to retreat. Their superior officer arrives at the church, warning Robert and Ken that they will be forced to pull back, but they can't take the wounded.
But you, come with us if you want to live.
Ken and Robert take one look at each other and declare they'll both stay. The Germans take back the village and start to bring their wounded to the church, asking for help. The church was becoming full, to the point that the floor had to be used. Those that were not expected to last the night were given spots closest to the altar. The night passes and there's a thump at the door.
Let's go.
A German officer and his men are at the church entrance. The men proceed to enter, but Robert tells him there is a no-gun policy, and even the Germans are not exempt. The officer smiles and nods to his men. They are hesitant, but follow his instructions. Once inside, the officer thanks the medics for their help and asks if there's anything they need. Robert replies,
"Supplies and a doctor." "I can get it to you in 24 hours.
The pair shake hands, and the officer leaves. By midday, the fight is back underway. The Screaming Eagles are pushing back with renewed energy, regaining the lost ground. Throughout it all, the medics brave the open.
That is the part I wanted everybody to pay attention to, and there's a reason for it. Everybody claims that the Germans are all the same because of what the SS did and everything. If you paid attention, that officer's uniform, he was a Wehrmacht officer, meaning that he was literally the German army. He was not the SS at all. And seeing what they were doing, this man gave up the supplies that the Germans were running out of at this point in the war, and he gave it to them so that they could not only treat their friendlies, but the Germans as well. Meaning that his supplies were going to go towards the enemy as well, but he still willingly gave it to them. But yet, people talk about how bad the Germans are. The Germans are nowhere near as bad as far as the Wehrmacht goes as people say. And that's what pisses me off. They label all Germans badly because of what the SS did. When in reality, there were more good men than there were the SS.
But this time, something different happens.
Halt!
For whenever and wherever the two men appeared, the battle would stop, so they could pass. The Americans regain the town house by house, and with the German retreat, mortars begin to drop. There's a crash of glass and a thunk as a mortar rolls along the church floor.
God was really there that day.
By some incredible miracle, it was faulty. Had it exploded, the whole church would have been reduced to rubble.
God was with y'all that day,
Robert
that's for
quickly
sure.
picks it up and throws it back out from where it came. Suddenly, a barrage of bullets pierces through the church's windows, raining glass over several wounded. Robert peeks out the door and spots a Sherman tank firing away with its Hull machine gun. He immediately runs out, seeking to stop the tank, but when he does, he finds one of the 101st has got there before him. An American lieutenant arrives to inform the medics that they needed access to the church steeple to use as an observation post. Ken point blank refuses, stating, "You can't do that."
Can't do that.
The lieutenant confidently used his rank to get the medics to back down, but Robert stood firm. This church was a safe haven for the injured, and it would not be weaponized.
It will not be weaponized.
Over the course of 3 days and 2 nights,
Tell
they
them.
tended to over 80
Shove that
people,
rank down
of which
his
all
throat.
but 2 would live to see another day. The church still stands today. There's a monument to the actions of the 2 medics and multiple stained glass windows in honor of them and the liberating forces. The most poignant reminder is the pews that still bear the stains of that fateful day. There's also
love to
an
go there.
unassuming cracked tile that marks the spot where the mortar round miraculously failed to detonate. Wright wished to be buried in the grounds of the church after his death, but bureaucracy made it impossible. But even after death, his will was not to be denied. Somehow, some of his ashes were brought into France and buried in the churchyard, where a simple plaque marked R.E.W. for his initials marks the place where the brave medic finally returned. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel.
The thing that what cares about Microsoft Edge? Go away. Fuck you. Anyway, let's see. One of you are talking about the Germans and the Americans working together. There's actually a story on that. Let me see if I can find it. Hopefully the stream won't get shut down because of it. Let me find it. Postmen fought the SS. Teenage sniper, yeah. Oh, that's a good story too. We might watch some of these. See, it's like what I keep telling everyone. I learn a lot of the stuff that I do off of just watching this stuff. They do so much history. Sabaton as well. I love Sabaton. Castle Hitler. Yeah, but they got it. They don't ever actually put the name of the place and stuff. Yamato's final battle. 2 hangover pilots defend Pearl Harbor. That's actually true. The one-man tank destroyer. Huh. Oh my god. Where's that? Oh, here we go.
As a corporate girly, I'm constantly thinking about how to make my email messages pop, how to turn my thoughts and words into magic.
Oh my gosh, no one gives a shit.
It's early May 1945, the final days of the war. Captain Jack Lee and his men in the 23rd Tank Battalion, 12th Armored Division, are located in the town of Kufstein,
again, so I'm probably going to make this one the last one for tonight.
Suddenly,
and
around
then
the corner, a Kubelwagen appears. Inside are 2 Germans.
Actually, we can
but
do
they're
that
flying
if
a
we
white
wanted
flag.
to. I can
The
actually play that
Americans
video
immediately
after.
train
Actually,
their
I'll do that.
M3s at the startled Germans.
The Grace
Many
Gun.
Germans are surrendering as everyone knows the war is all but over, but that doesn't stop many of the SS who are fighting on to the bitter end.
Of course they are,
Forced
because
out
they're
of the
SS.
Kugelwagen at gunpoint, the decorated German
If I
major,
could get me a
Joseph
Kugelwagen
Gangl,
as
is
a
forced
car,
to
I
kneel
would take
and is
it.
searched. But he explains, incredibly, that he is also part of the Austrian resistance against the Nazis. He shows Lee a note written in English. The note explains that Castle Itter has been holding many French politicians and VIPs during the war, who were to be used as bargaining chips. Up to now, their lives have been in relative comfort, but with the war's end, the SS are on their way to terminate them, and the resistance are
For
going
now,
to try
until I
and
decide to
foil
go
the
and
murderous
watch
plot.
or play War
A
Thunder.
smiling Jack Lee, an adventure lover, sensed the weight of the moment. He rallied his men and told them they're going on a rescue mission. And so began one of the most incredible episodes of the war. The journey to Castle Itter isn't an easy one. They meet up with Gangl's
Did anyone
men,
else watch that
German
car
soldiers who are
kinda
either
skid
resistance
sideways
or
before-
think their best bet is to side with the Americans. Having to fight through several SS roadblocks and cross bridges that are too weak for all the tanks, the party that eventually arrives is just one Sherman tank, Lee's Bezotten Jenny, 7 American personnel in total, and around a dozen Wehrmacht and resistance men loyal to Gangl. At the castle, they are met by the mainly French prisoners and an SS captain, Kurt Siegfried Schrader, who has brought his family to the castle and, surprisingly, has vowed to defend the French prisoners, even against the SS. The French VIPs, who are expecting a larger contingent of rescuers, were rather unimpressed with the somewhat underwhelming rescue force of 1 tank, a handful of Americans,
Yes,
and
I know
some
your
German
username.
soldiers. Knowing many SS are on the way to assault the castle, the Americans, the Wehrmacht, and the SS captain form an unlikely alliance to defend the French VIPs. Many of the
Bro's
French
sitting there
are
with
elderly
cheese in his
politicians. Lee tells them to head to the cellar and hide with the women and children. But the belligerent Frenchman said no and took up arms to
No.
form part of the defense force. Schrader told Lee that
No.
2 PaK-40 anti-tank guns had been seen moving into position in the woods outside the castle by a group of Waffen-SS. Preparing the defenses, Lee ordered that the Besotten
I'm
Jenny
probably going to,
be backed
but we're
up
gonna watch
towards
the video
gatehouse,
first.
gun facing outwards. One of the 30 caliber machine guns was removed from Besotten Jenny and placed on the roof of the gatehouse. The 76mm gun was readied with high explosives. It was unlikely that they would be needed to fight against German armor, and explosive shells would work better against infantry in the assault. The friendly Germans wore a strip of dark cloth around their left arms to identify them in the coming battle. The defensive force took positions in various
Bro, I ain't
places
wearing
around the
it.
castle. They all knew that if a large party of Waffen-SS assaulted Castle Itter, what the inevitable
a
conclusion
sword.
would be. If the battle
Bro
went
got
the
a
wrong
sword.
way before the reinforcements
Bro's
arrived,
got a throwing
everyone
stick.
was to retreat to the central keep and fight hand to hand, medieval style if necessary. Night falls and some of the men rest. Around 4 a.m. an exchange of fire occurs, but after return fire
Shut up,
booming from
Shadow.
Besotten Jenny's 50
You little
caliber,
shrimp.
it's silenced. Around 8 a.m. there's fire from the friendly Germans. One of Gangel's
I'm
men
gonna be
has
doing War
decided
Thunder
his
tonight,
loyalties
actually.
are elsewhere and fled the castle into the nearby woods.
I'm just wanting to
This is
do
a
these last
disaster.
two
He would, of course, tell
videos,
the
and then we're
SS
gonna
exactly
Come here,
how many men were in the castle
Come on.
and where the weaknesses and defenses were.
Come
Lee was
here, you
also
little
concerned
shrimp.
that none of the friendly Germans had actually hit the deserter,
Booger, say
which had
hello
him
to the
questioning the
viewers.
loyalty
Say-
of his newfound allies. But there
on.
was no time to worry about that.
Come on.
Through binoculars, Lee
Say
saw
hello.
the ominous sight of over 100 SS troops arriving in several trucks and
Alright, there we
mounting
go.
onto the
That's
forest
a hello.
to join the siege. Shortly after, an 88mm round slammed into the keep, swiftly followed by 20mm
Michael Boy
cannon,
hates you.
and the battle restarted. The windows of the castle were shot out, and chunks of masonry fell all around as the assault continued. Back in front of the gatehouse, a huge clang resounded, and Besotten Jenny lurched. The old girl was hit by an anti-tank round, and she was enveloped in fire. The
Dang.
crew escaped and got back inside the gatehouse, just in time before the Sherman's ammunition cooked off. The French VIPs, mainly older men, were calmly ignoring Lee's orders to take cover and decided that they too would join in the melee. Gathering behind the parapets, they covered the south side, enthusiastically firing all the time. One of the men, Paul Reynaud, was an ex-Prime Minister of France. He decided he was best positioned getting in the thick of the fire with the Americans in the gatehouse. To the horror of the Americans and friendly Germans, he was being reckless and exposing himself. Unwilling to lose a French VIP in the battle, Gangel, the German major, saw the danger and jumped up and dashed towards the Frenchman. A sniper spotted the opportunity and
no.
took the shot. Lee watched as Gangel was fatally hit. The fire from the 88 intensified, and the SS started to press their
Bro
advantage.
legit got someone
One of
killed,
the
and he
prisoners,
was a
John
friggin' prime
Barotra,
minister.
was an ex-tennis player. An athletic man, he was known as the Bounding Basque. Courageously, he stepped forward and told Lee he would vault the wall and go and get reinforcements. Lee knew the danger and that the chances of success were negligible, but he agreed. Disguising himself as an Austrian peasant, Barotra vaulted over the wall and melted into the
Bro,
forest,
it's like he's about ready
immediately
to do a
stumbling
curtsy
upon
and dance.
2 SS soldiers manning a machine gun. To the absolute astonishment of the SS soldiers, Barotra committed to his disguise and calmly waved, pretended to forage for food, and then relieved himself on a nearby tree. Waving goodbye to the dumbfounded SS, he carried on his way to get help. The battle raged on. A Waffen-SS soldier readied a Panzerfaust,
used ultimate
and the
stealth.
entire SS assault force decided that this was the moment to push forward. Just as a Sherman, the Bosch Buster rolled into view along with truckloads of American troops, and Barotra sporting an American uniform. The
Bro got
SS
his
knew their
tennis
mission
racket
to
ready.
terminate the French VIPs was doomed and retreated back into the forest. Gangel was honored as a national hero for his role in the Austrian resistance after his death. Jack Lee was
Salute
awarded the
to him.
Distinguished Service Cross. SS Captain Schrader, who had protected the prisoners and helped the defense, was imprisoned for 2 years, a somewhat lesser punishment than he would have otherwise received. The book The Last Battle by Stephen Harding accurately lays out the details of this incredible battle. We hope you like this story. Most of our viewers
See, that's the thing that pissed me off there. Like, that man legit helped save somebody's life that was very important, and they still imprisoned him. But I guess it doesn't excuse what he did, like, before he decided to become a friendly. I guess that's why they imprisoned him for 2 years, because of the fact he did do something bad. Bro took a number one in front of Sneak plus 100. He sure did. Bro was most stealthy man ever. Just by.
Enlisted is the free, brand new online World War II shooter.
It's
Command a
not
squad of
brand
soldiers and
new,
participate
bro.
in
You don't
legendary
realize
battles
how old that game is now?
It's May the 16th, 1940, 2 hours before sunrise. 13
All right, let me
German
see.
tanks from
All right, so we got a Panzer IV, probably it's either a C, an E, or an F. I think there's some areas we have. I know there's a buttload
the
of
8th
Panzer
Panzer
IIIs.
Regiment are taking their positions. Partially obscuring the panzers behind toppled walls and collapsed buildings is central to the Nazi plan, and now the trap is nearly set. From their vantage points, battle-hardened commanders
Let's
will have
angle
clear
a
views
Chi-Long.
of the road
Yeah, right.
leading into the
That's not
beleaguered
gonna work.
northern French town of Ston, just a few kilometers south of the Belgian border. Their main guns loaded with high-velocity armor-piercing shells. For German crews, it's only a matter of time before the French tanks lumber into view and they can get on with the turkey shoot. Crumbling under the Nazi juggernaut, France's future is bleak. Hopelessly outnumbered, armored units have done little to halt the Wehrmacht's relentless advance. But in Ston, the roles are about to be reversed. Hundreds of yards away, a Sharp B-1 BIS heavy tank from the
Okay,
1st
so it's a
Company,
BIS.
41st
All right.
Tank Battalion appears around the bend. In the commander's seat is 34-year-old Captain Pierre Bilot, son of
I
French
feel so
1st
bad for
Army
the
General
commander
Gaston
because
Bilot.
like that tank is not
Nicknamed
roomy at
Ure
all.
after a river in Normandy, the
Ure,
Sharp B-1
yes.
BIS is a massive 30-ton brute. Featuring thick, heavily sloped
Bro,
armor,
it's
tank
vibrating
and crew are
violently.
nearly impervious to most German guns unless fired from close range. And the French tank has another big advantage. It has 2 guns to the Panzer's 1. The first, a 75mm tank killer in the hull. The second, a 47mm cannon in the small turret operated by the commander himself, also capable of punching holes in the lightly armored panzers. Spying
Alright.
the German tanks through his sight, Biot springs into action. Barking commands,
Bro,
the
about to scare
75's
the
loader
Germans?
slams around into the breach as the gunner lines up the crosshairs at a panzer downrange. In the turret, Biot follows suit. Now, cannons loaded, orders to fire slice through the morning air in French and German. Deafening cracks and blinding muzzle flashes erupt from both sides. Anti-tank rounds
That's the
traveling
only
faster
thing we
than the
won't be
speed
able
of
to do in
sound
War Thunder is use
whistle
both
past one
turrets at
another
the same
towards
time.
targets of steel. Then, in the chaos, the tanks nearest to and farthest from the Char B-1 take direct hits and burst
No, there's
into
still tanks
flames.
behind him.
Taking
Liar!
out the first and last vehicles in a formation is a time-tested tactic,
Oh.
and as a result, the 11 remaining panzers are now hemmed in. Shocked at their comrades' fate, German gunners fire ceaselessly, but though the Panzer IV 75mm guns are powerful enough to penetrate the Schar's armor at close range, they're too far away. Closing the distance is an option, but doing so will put them in even more danger, and for the Panzer IIIs, things are even worse.
That
With
is
either
such a cool little
37 or
animation.
50mm main guns, they're impotent from almost any distance against the Schar's 60mm frontal
Bro
armor.
fired and
The
then
Germans
immediately
realize
looked.
they may as well be armed with slingshots. Despite the dire situation,
It's like a David and
dozens of
Goliath
rounds
situation.
slam into the Schar's hull
this time
and
Goliath
turret.
wins.
But to the Germans' consternation, they do little damage.
Bro, shook it
Some
off!
deform the armor
Let's go!
plating, others shear off bits of steel, but the rounds are deflecting off the tank and not penetrating into it like they're supposed to. Inside the already hot and smoke-filled Char, the impacting shells are making a deafening commotion, like the tank has been set upon by sledgehammer-wielding guerrillas. Thankfully, it's nothing Biot and crew can't handle. In fact,
Biot
they're
and
just
crew,
hitting
nice.
their stride. Load, aim, fire.
Fire.
Load, aim,
Aim,
fire.
fire.
The Schar's twin cannons thunder away and the German tanks keep going up in flames. Columns of
Why would
fire
you
and
sit
oily
near
smoke
that, you
pour from the
dummy?
stricken Panzer's hatches as the rounds inside cook off. Checking for more targets but finding none, Biot realizes with a start that they've taken out every German tank.
An entire
All 13 of them.
Panzer battalion.
Not one to bask in recent successes, he orders the driver to turn the tank towards the town to join the fighting there. By the end of the day, Biot and his crew and their now famous Char B-1 Bis have taken out even more German tanks and a number of artillery pieces. Other Chars have arrived too, and though German forces remain in the area, they lack anything powerful enough to dispatch the Gallic steel beasts, and by nightfall, Ston is back
Fun
in
fact.
French control.
Here's actually a fun fact. The M3 Lee is actually based off of the B1s. So that's actually kind of
Days,
interesting to
Ston
know.
changed hands nearly 20 times before eventually falling to the Nazis. The Char's legendary ability to take and dish out punishment did serious damage to the confidence of the German tankers. The 10th Panzer Division War Diary recorded that they had encountered 60-ton super heavy tanks, an over-exaggeration,
definitely doing
but an
this.
indication of the fear the Char B1s struck into the invaders.
The only
Many
problem
Chars would-
is the only problem I see with us doing this in War Thunder is the fact that we don't have enough people. But thank you all for joining. I am about to go live on War Thunder. If you would like to join in there, that would be great. So I'm actually gonna do something special for you guys. All right, so if you mess with the wolf right here, you get the fangs. Be sure to come in and watch the War Thunder.